Hi, my name is Laura McGarrity, and I'm here with McGarrity Yip, and our talk today is about pathways to accessibility in the linguistics classroom, practical and technological approaches. So if any of you are like Colum or me, we assume that upon finding out that you have a student with a disability in one of your linguistics classes, you would make whatever changes you need to make to your course to make it more accessible to that student. However, we also hope that making your course more accessible would be a long-term goal for any instructor, whether or not you have a student with a disability. So with that goal in mind, we offer suggestions today on steps you can take to make your class more accessible, both in the physical classroom as well as online. While some of these suggestions are linguistics specific, others are more general and are in line with universal design for learning. We hope instructors will take this talk as a call to action and encourage everyone to take proactive steps now to make their courses more accessible, rather than reacting and waiting until you find out you have a student with a disability to make change. At the end, we'll include links to additional resources that we hope will be helpful in making your linguistics courses more accessible in the future. In terms of where to begin, one obvious place is with your university's Disability Resources Office. Hopefully every university has one. They can offer guidance, provide insights, and identify resources that might be helpful in making your course more accessible. In addition, if you do have a student with a disability, it's best to work with them to determine their specific needs and which accommodations they find most useful, as there's no one-size-fits-all solution to any given disability. If you can, incorporate the student into your assignment planning so that you can find what will work best for both of you. So here are some practical suggestions on strategies to use in the physical classroom. If you have students who are blind or have low vision, saying aloud what's being referenced or written on the screen or on a handout. Avoiding deictics like this or that or pointing without a reference. Double spacing your handouts or data sets, whether in print or online. Using larger font sizes with high contrast colors, such as those we're using in these presentation slides. And in some cases, using alternative formatting. Tables, for instance, which are traditionally used for presenting the IPA chart or phonological data, can be difficult for some students with low vision to see. So using alternative formatting, such as tabs, might be preferred. For students who are deaf or hard of hearing, only speak when facing the classroom or the camera so students can see your lips. Referring to IPA symbols by name, such as voiceless alveolar fricative, rather than just by pronunciation alone, such as s. If a student has an interpreter or a transcriber, chances are they would not be linguistically trained. So in such cases, it can be helpful to provide them ahead of time with lists containing the IPA symbols, their names, as well as any important terminology. Beyond classroom strategies, another strategy would be to create alternative assignments that take into account the student's strengths and abilities, or to allow students to submit assignments in different formats, such as video or voice recordings instead of just written answers. As some examples of alternative assignments, for students who are blind or low vision, instead of the classic labeling of the mid-sagittal diagram exercise, you might have students with low vision describe the location of articulators with respect to one another instead. You might have students learn and work with IPA symbols in tactile ways in addition to just in visual ways, such as by working with pipe cleaners or embossed paper. You might work with the student to develop a curated set of IPA sounds. Some students with low vision, for example, may have trouble seeing very small symbols like diacritics or two-part symbols with no kerning, such as affricates or diphthongs. In such cases, you could develop a restricted set of IPA symbols for them to work with that avoids those problems. And for students who are deaf or hard of hearing, you might emphasize articulatory features over acoustic features or transcription exercises alone. You might work with hard of hearing students to determine which sounds they can hear or produce, and then you can work with them to design tailor-made learning materials that focus just on those sounds. And you could also consider including assignments that involve the phonetics and phonologies of signed languages and not just of spoken languages as well.
Students may use their screen readers to view online contents. When creating an ADA-compliant course, we should also pay attention to how things will be read on the screen reader. We suggest using alt text for images, heading styles for documents, and closed captioning for videos and lectures. These suggestions are in line with the Universal Design for Learning framework, which is a set of principles aimed at preparing lessons in a way that eliminates barriers and ensures equal access to learning for all individuals. We should keep in mind that not all abilities are communicated to us, and not all disabilities are covered by the Americans with Disabilities Act. Also, we generally take our abilities for granted, but we should remember that all abilities are temporary, and what we're doing right now may benefit us in the long run. Here are some examples of the Universal Design for Learning framework. Incorporating a multisensory approach to learning, allowing students to submit assignments in alternative formats, and using the Ally Course Accessibility Meter on your learning platform to guide you when you modify course materials. This is our call to action to encourage linguistics instructors to be more proactive rather than reactive. You should consider making changes now that will make your class more accessible generally before you have a student with a disability. We also want to emphasize that making changes does take time. You shouldn't expect a perfect ADA compliant course after just one semester. Sometimes making a good faith effort is good enough. You should set achievable goals and continue to improve. And remember, most changes can be carried over from course to course and semester to semester. We also have some resources for improving accessibility generally. For example, the LSA Scholarly Teaching in Linguistics website has a page on creating accessible content. Shelby Miller's Teaching Headquarters for the Americans with Disabilities Act website also has some good content. We have some additional resources for students who are deaf or hard of hearing. For example, some websites on visual representations of speech sounds. And we also have some additional resources for students who are blind or low vision. We find the ADEPT website to be particularly helpful. And here's our full reference list. Thank you.
Thank you.